Hola, hola, and buenos dias, GnGs. My name is Trekkw2ks, and welcome to another episode of Weekend Crypto, brought to you here on the MEV Crypto Network. If you don't know, the basic idea is I cover crypto-related news stories that take place between a Friday and a Sunday, pop it out 08 Monday morning, and I do it with a no price talk filter, meaning you're not going to hear about what's the next DGen move, what's the next FUD thing. I don't do none of it, and I'm not sorry about it at this point. Been running it like this for, what, more than 2 years now, I want to say? But anywho, nonetheless, that's what this whole thing is about. And so for the folks who are returning, thank y'all for coming back. I appreciate y'all warriors. Hashtag, I appreciate the warriors, right? For the folks who are finding my stuff for the first time, thank you for taking the time to listen. Hopefully I say something that actually gets you to think about it, gets you to come back, actually do a sub on my actual channel, which is actually Trekkw2ks, as you see how the name is spelled on this thumb. And that's actually the name of my channel. And yeah, so also, shout outs to the scammer folks. In last week's episode, y'all went ham with the bots, okay? Y'all went ham with the bots. And I was going through reading some of the comments, and I was just like, y'all are really out here trying to get people. Don't forget, we passed April 15th, and this episode is brought to you by CJ the Smart Guy, who is actually an actual crypto CPA. And if you have been dabbling in it and you in the American jurisdiction, you might want to cross your T's and dot your I's. And in full disclosure, he is my actual CPA. It's not me telling you you have to use him. This isn't a referral link that's in the description for him. It isn't me getting kickback on the back end or none of that. This is just me saying the way things are going now, and I got a couple of stories in here that, as I'm saying, if you in the US, man, they just gonna do what they gonna do in comparison to how I see some of the other countries and jurisdictions rolling. We'll get into that in a couple. But other thing is, also I appreciate the lurkers, even though y'all don't comment in the live chat and stuff like that, or even after the replays. Hey, I know what's going on because I see what the numbers look like on the view count, right? So I appreciate y'all too. Now, from that, let's just get into these stories, and yeah, here we go. Okay, so here we are with the first story. As you can see, Oklahoma passes law to strengthen Bitcoin ownership and management rights. And I have to say, I'm kind of surprised that this was an Oklahoma story. As I had mentioned before, on how many episodes previous to this, the Biden dog whistle strikes again, where you're going to have states, you're going to have the various regulatory bodies at the different levels look to make sure they get their part of this industry. Now, in the forefront at looking at this, yes, this sounds like a very positive thing, right? And I'm not saying it's not going to have its positive outcomes to it, but you got to also understand that a law got enacted, which now means that there is a governing authority that is saying, hey, we gave you this ability and we could take the ability of it back, the entitlement of it back, right? Even if your ability to actually still do the thing still exists, the fact that the law that we're, quote, now agreeing to under the social contract says that, all right, cool, this works now, it doesn't mean that they can't change it down the road. The point about the Biden dog whistle, as I've been saying, is that it's the federal, it's the state, it's the county, and it's the city that are going to start doing their hungry hippo stuff. Again, yes, this is a positive thing in regards to Oklahoma enacting a law that says, hey, you have rights in how you can mine, how you can store, how you can hold, how you can spend crypto, right? In particular, Bitcoin. The focus here is on Bitcoin. So if you want to be a miner, if you want to just be somebody who stores it, there's rights that you have. The thing that I don't like about this article is that they don't give you the actual link to the new law. They don't give you the link to when it was a bill. A little bit more digging in regards to if you want to find that out, but the link to this article will be in the description. Other thing is definitely a shout outs to Coin Paprika, because they were the only ones that I seen that covered the story. I hadn't seen it on any of the other sites that I usually come across within the news aggregator site that I use. So I give them a clap for that. But at the same time, it's just like, you could at least provided the link to give better detail as to like, well, what are the rights, other than just saying, well, you have a right to mining, you have a right to possession, you have a right, like, that sounds like it's giving you information. But if you know anything about how bills and laws are written, you know that there is definitely devils in the details for how things are defined. That's the key point in this. And then you get into the whole thing of like, well, is there anything about like what taxes would be? How's that playing in? The whole thing about KYCing and like registration if you're in the miner side of it. That's what this article is not covering. But I will also add, I would sideways say big ups to Brian Hill, Republican person, and Senator Bill Coleman, because they were the ones who really pushed this at the state level. But again, these are two regulators, so you know there's devils in the details to this. Just throwing that out there. If somebody's in Oklahoma or you're in a neighboring state, hey, let me know, like, how does this look on the ground, right? Other thing is, we're going to see more states doing things that are, quote, in favor as well as, quote, against this growing crypto blockchain industry. This happens to be an example of what right now looks as being in favor for the individual, the person, the citizen of the state. Yes, I did use a clickbait title to get some of y'all. I'm not apologizing for it. But hopefully this makes you think a little bit more about how you understand this thing that is going on in the legal realm of the right that they say they're giving you versus what you have as a right of individual sovereignty, right? Thought process, speech, your economics, like those realms and areas, like what is inherent to you as a human being versus what we have in a social contract with the governments, state, city, federal, etc. All right, y'all, I'm off that one, off to the next story. So, as we see here, ZK Snacks bars US users from Wasabi Wallet in wake of the Samouria incident. And so basically what happened here was the Samouria Wallet co-founder, I forget his name at the moment, he got arrested, and he was overseas when he got arrested. So I'm assuming like DOJ was in contact with like Interpol or whatever for him. Bottom line is they're going after the wallets, the self-custody wallets that allow for you to use Mixer technology. I got another story that goes into the dude from Tornado Cash. And so that's what's going on right now. They are basically, as far as wallets go, right? And then pushing things into the realm of KYC, and then like the idea of law enforcement and government entities being able to track and trace everything within that. And I got another story for the UK. Oh, y'all over there are about to be in some crap. In that the wallets that are self-custody, and then there's wallets that have Mixer technology in them. The first part of the animal to attack for the legal folks here on the law enforcement side is, let's deal with the Mixer ones first, because we can make the better argument about how those are used in illicit things. Because why would someone want to mix how they use money or what their money, where their money came from? Because you gotta remember, cryptocurrency as a technology is changing the understanding that we have as money as a medium, right? And then when you take into account money as a medium and what that means to privacy and economic and financial sovereignty, and the technologies that allow you to enforce that thing, right, is being very much changed when you compare it from traditional fiat and traditional currency. And so in the digital context, this is law enforcement looking to cut out one part, and eventually they're going to go after self-custody wallets. I said this a couple months ago. There was a story I covered about Ledger and how Ledger is a part of the network of wallets that do the filtering and for like wallet addresses or transactions that are tagged for like illicit activities. In my mind, and I said this back then, I was eventually going to look to leave Ledger. Treasure's also going to be on a chopping block. I'm not telling you where to go. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying there's definitely a move that will go towards eventually clamping down on self-custody wallets, where it's going to be there's a level of KYC. And some people are going to argue, well, hey, you already, used your home address and name to get it delivered to you. Yes, the vast majority of people have done that, but there definitely are those folks who have not. Nonetheless, there's going to be a shift in targeting. And you already have some of these wallets that are already playing ball with law enforcement to varying degrees. Some people fight it a little bit more. Some people just carte blanche give all of the info up. Hence why I did the story the other day about how the IRS was like, hey, we noticed that the numbers that we're getting from the exchanges and from like chain analysis and from the wallet companies, like that's not what's reflecting and what people are reporting about their crypto activity. So what y'all think is going to happen? Eventually, they're going to have to start pressing the self-custody wallet folks too. It's just a matter of when. Arguably, some of y'all might really want to work on figuring out other options. Again, I'm not telling you what to do, but you might want to start doing some due diligence, especially if you're not out here crossing your T's and dotting your I's on top of the table kind of stuff. You ain't messing with a CPA. You doing other things that might be in the gray areas. Just saying. If you're in this American jurisdiction, it's a lot of things that are popping up. And I said this, there's a story I covered a couple months back. The IRS won the right to be able to go into your financial records, even if you're not the primary person involved in an investigation. If they're looking at person A, you did a connecting transaction with them, they can get your stuff. Them nor the bank have to tell you. That's like a case they already won just last year. Anywho, let me stop beating that horse. The point being is, if you are one of the people who are into the whole privacy wallet thing, and I'm not saying this as though like, good actor, bad actor, whatever. I'm just saying, if you are using this side of the wallet technologies, you better start figuring some other stuff out, because ZK Snacks already said for Wasabi, like, hey, whatever y'all got on the wallet, if you're in the US and we could figure it out that you are, get it off. Arguably, we are being isolated in regards to technologies that improve or allow for economic sovereignty or financial sovereignty. Arguably. But anywho, I'm rambling on that one. Jumping on to this next story. As I say, link is in the description. And do remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a CPA, right? I just been in the space for a while, and it's been really interesting to watch how things have developed over more than a decade at this point, because Bitcoin is a teenager. Okay. As you see the story here, UK police secure new powers to seize crypto assets from suspects without making arrest. The devil's in the detail on this. This is a horrible article. The Daily Hodl, y'all did really bad on this one. And there's a reason why I'm saying that, because part of what they cover isn't really like new, right? They were already arresting people. They were already taking flash drives. If they were able to find your password, they were going to take those. If they were able to find a hardware wallet, they were going to take those. So that's not the new stuff. The killer of this whole article is they are going to be able to destroy your crypto asset. That's the kicker part. And the line is literally, where is it at? UK police are now also allowed to destroy a crypto asset, quote, if returning it to circulation is not conducive to the public good, end quote. There's another line, but like that's the line in that sentence paragraph that is the real clincher. You are now giving law enforcement the authority and the ability to mess in a monetary market. What? Like, who thought this was a good idea? And then on top of it, this is one of those things where you look at like indicator, trend, and pattern. Indicator. Someone thought this was a good idea as a way of being able to get crypto, or like to get money in. Because I imagine down the road, whether it be in 3 years, whether it be in 5 years, but at some point before 2030, there is going to be a story about the UK police and how someone did something they weren't supposed to do, and this is going to play a part in it. Like, well, we had the authority to do blah blah blah. And then the other part of like, wait, so how are you sending this to a black address? Because for the folks who don't know about how tokens work, and like the whole thing with when you burn a token supply, what you're doing is you're putting it into a smart contract that doesn't have an exit address. So it can go in and you can't take it out. And for at least how the technology works now, which is funky enough, there was a story I covered at some point last year, and I forget what the network was. I forget whose blockchain it was on. Somebody was able to go in and reverse the burning of a token on a smart contract. I don't remember if it was Ethereum based, but I know I covered the story where someone was able to go in and reverse a burned token transaction. So in my mind, from a technical aspect, what are y'all really doing? Why would someone think, but you know what, better yet, they didn't even think. They didn't think it all the way through. And if they did, I imagine there's going to be some funkiness that falls out from this ability being given to law enforcement. And remember, I told y'all there was another story about how our state was looking to do regulation that allowed them to seize your account if they can go, hey, well, this person was involved in a money laundering thing, we proved it, blah, blah, blah. They'll seize your account on the exchange and then sell it, liquidate your whole thing on the same exchange. There's a law in our state now for that. Or were they pushing it for this year, or they already enacted it? I don't remember which one, but it goes to my point about how this whole story we tell out here in the West of how our state is, quote, looking to avoid or use cryptocurrency to avoid sanctions and blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, that doesn't make no sense, because they're literally enacting laws that are 100% KYC. They don't want no privacy on the CBDCs, on the stable coins, on the tokens, on the coins themselves, none of it. So how does that work that they're using the technology as a way to avoid sanctions? Don't make sense. Anywho, as far as this joint go right here, this is gonna be crazy to watch how it plays out. I'm just giving it time. We're gonna hear something sooner than later. If you're across the pond, please say something in the comment. Like, how is this looking on the ground? Like, how do y'all see this? Now, granted, again, in context of this is being, quote, sold to the public as we're targeting bad actors. We're targeting people who are doing illicit things that we, quote, know are illegal in regular, like pre-crypto laws, right? But we also know that people get caught up in stuff because sometimes law enforcement folks just be jerks, and then they just slap something on it and be like, oh, that gives me the authority to do what I'm doing. But it doesn't mean that it was actually the right thing. It doesn't mean it was actually legal. It also can mean you're just getting targeted. Like, and that's the part about this human element of like you giving people in law enforcement the ability to mess with a financial instrument, because at the end of the day, all of this stuff is financial instruments. And no one sees the freaking potential issue in this. Okay, you know what? Let y'all do what y'all do. What did he say? You're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn. I see it happening. On to this next story. Which one was this? Oh, so yeah, as I said, the R state legislative body considers diving into crypto. Will they mine or mull it? So basically, they're looking at it going, do we make a regulatory framework for crypto mining within the R state's borders? In particular, they're saying within the borders. And so the idea is the commercial level folks, the residential mom and pop level folks, it basically boils down to, you can do it, but we'll put in guidelines for like how much power you'll be able to do, what is the power consumption, the taxes, And then they throw in this thing about like, well, what happened if you're just a hobbyist who does it like here and there? There's a whole category that they want to do for that too. Again, this is arguably a positive. You could see, for example, places like Siberia in northern Russia. This might probably, pushing on. This might probably help for their revenue streams up in that region of the country, as well as for their depopulation thing that they've been having going on for the last couple of decades, where they've had people who were literally leaving those small towns, turning them into desolate towns. So this could be a good thing in regards to that, because then it would bring the commercial level folks out there, who would then bring the jobs out there, who would then be able to hire the local folks, would then, you know what I'm saying? Like, it builds on. So arguably this could be a good thing. So good thing in regards to that. Again, though, remember what I just said in this last thing. They not about this whole no KYC privacy thing. They want 100% KYC. So then there's a whole part of, FRFO, in terms of you're going to be one of those people who are like, oh no, I'm going to try to sneak it. And they figure out that you sneaking it. Like, imagine what the jail time would be for that. That's going to be, it's that jurisdiction. Like, they don't really play around with the law like that. So I don't know, like, it's going to be interesting to see how this works. And also the other thing to note, that was what I was trying to remember. They're also looking to push it as far as like green technology in terms of energy efficiency. So arguably, this would be another good direction for vendor production in finding more efficient things, because again, Siberia is a large place. There's a fair amount of that country that is like cold. So that's one thing that you can deal with right there. And then like you have the machines that you're looking to push more power efficiency because you're being capped. It's a low price for what you're paying for kilowatts. And I honestly don't know what that region's power rates are. I'm not even going to make a wild guess on that, but nonetheless, that's what's going on there. Again, the stuff we hear here on the state side about what they're doing over there and how they're moving, like when you start getting into the devil in the details of the legislation and then things that are being enacted, it don't make sense because they be diametrically opposed to each other. Just throwing that out there. Again, y'all, link for that be in the description. What is this other one? So DOJ counters Roman Storm's defense in Tornado Cash case. So basically, this was a dude that they were able to actually catch over in Europe. He's going, hey, I was just a coder. Like, I didn't actually facilitate money laundering. I didn't facilitate drug activities. I'm just the person who made the code. And so I bring this back to the same thing with the firearm. We don't go to the person who worked for the company who made the code, who made the design for the firearm, and be like, well, somebody conducted an armed robbery, and since you were the one who made this particular thing, like, we're gonna arrest you, the founder of the company, and the person who actually made the design. Like, that's not what we do, right? And so arguably, this is more about still pushing the front of throttling the development and the distribution of mixer technology, of privacy enabling technology. Why? Because the bigger push in all of this technology stuff is to be able to track, trace, and connect it down to the individual person. Money is the biggest thing that if you can track and trace it, you can tell a whole bunch about a person. A whole bunch. And so the government basically was like, well, no, you are actually a main person because you were doing more than, you were doing X, Y, and Z. And we, quote, have people who corroborated our interpretation of your activity. That's the bottom line of the story. I honestly think this dude is going to be in the ringer for a long, long time. I don't know if it'll be as long as Ross Ulbricht. And shout outs to him, shout outs to his mom, and the folks who are in that movement. I don't know if if Roman's ordeal would last as long. And I only say that because now where we're at is where the family trust, the bigger financial institutions like traditional TradeFi and Wall Street and like the Dubai folks are moving into the space now. And so there's a level of normalization that's happening around cryptocurrencies, blockchain technologies, privacy enabling technologies connected to blockchain, DeFi, and things along that line. And like, I'm not saying everyone under the sun knows like, you know, every aspect or even what a tornado catch technology is. What I'm trying to say is that we're not at 2014 anymore. We're not at 2010 for sure. But the level of global awareness and the things that we have for what is going to take place before the end of this decade with the integration of varying crypto technologies or blockchain technologies and crypto use cases in terms of cryptocurrencies, like we're past the teenage years, y'all. Like we're past the teenage years. So that's my point to that of it. Hopefully, you know, he doesn't get Ross Ulbricht level stuff, but I also would hope that this goes back to something I was saying in one of the earlier stories. Like with the case of like Samouria Wallet, Wasabi, the parent company for Wasabi, ZK Snacks and all of them, and Phoenix Wallet. Like, if y'all see that y'all are being targeted like this by the law enforcement folks, why are you not pooling your resources together to be like, okay, let us go on the offensive through the legal means? Like, again, I get it. It's a company. I get it. It's investors. I get it. Nobody really wants to smoke, you know, like, but it's a whole thing of like, when you say that you are about certain positions, whether they be moral or ethical or, you know, humanistic in base, and you're talking about your quote fighting the system, like, you have to take into account that at some point the system will test you, and most folks are not about that life when the system actually tests them. Some folks will go as far as they can until the money runs out to fight the system. But like, when you're doing it solo and when the system uses the legal means to undermine you for where you can't support yourself, for where you start being isolated from family and friends and your business counterparts, like, or your industry counterparts for like the company you worked with, that's a very hard place to be in. I totally get that. And I'm not even saying these people are wrong for not wanting to, you know, get the smoke from the DOJ or the FBI or the DOE or whoever it is as far as the law enforcement side is concerned. But what I am saying is, I think more of us need to take into account that for as much as we talk about this whole thing as far as like the disruption, not everybody about that life. Not everybody is about that life. Look at what's going on with the campuses here in the States. Some folks is like, all right, yeah, I'll get arrested. Cool. We had the one dude in New York that set flame on himself. That's some Tiananmen Square level business right there. Like, but not everybody's about that level of it, right? Just throwing that out there. Not telling y'all what to do by far. So not telling y'all what to do by far. Again, I'm not a CPA. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not no guru. It's just, I take into account how I've seen things play out over a decade in this space, and then other things that I'm aware of, and how other movements and other government systems, and just how history and human beings, we tend to repeat ourselves. That's just us. Sometimes I'm frustrated about it. Sometimes I'm inspired and happy about it. And yeah, you know, but anywho, this is the crap that the DOJ is doing to the dude, Roman. And again, I don't know if because of where we are in the age of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies and all of this stuff, if he's going to be put through the same timeline and level of ringer as like how they did Ross Ulbricht. I hope not, though. I really do. All right, last one here. As you can see, Bored Ape Yacht Club. So Yaga Lab announces another company reconstructing after layoffs in 6 months. The bottom line is they partnered with another company. They hired this gentleman. What is his name? Something Kim. What is the name of the dude? Won Kim. That's the guy's name. So Won Kim is basically coming over to Yaga Labs now, and he's going to do brand partnerships, which is basically biz development. I do wonder what this will mean for NFTs, in that we already see that they really did think outside the box when it came to how they were looking to handle their IP situation, as far as the open use, as long as you have an actual original Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. And the question now is, well, what would this mean, and how in this next round of things will they step it up? It's going to be an interesting development to see what they do. I'm actually kind of curious about this. I'm not saying this is a financial thing. I'm just saying this as far as, like, for all of the controversy that they had in the beginning, they're still here. And for all of the controversy that was going on with, like, what the imagery and stuff was, when you look at their actual business case, they really did step out there. So now the question is, all right, y'all got to level 5, y'all stepped out there, y'all shook the space up. What's going to be this next thing? Like, where do you go with IP from here? I don't know. But in my mind, it will be interesting to see where they go with the biz development, and how will that expand and change and evolve the NFT realm and how we look at IP. That's my thought on that one. I'm not a holder of any Bored Ape Yacht Club stuff, so I don't know, like, what the ins and outs stuff is. This is just me as an outsider reading the article and having my light awareness of it, and I think it's going to be interesting. I honestly do. So what I'm going to say, that is my closeout. That is the last story. I kind of did go long, considering how many stories it was, but nonetheless, that is what that is. And hopefully I said something that, kind of caught your attention, kind of made you wonder, kind of got you thinking. If you've been watching any of these episodes for how long, you notice I generally stay away from the price talk stories, and I try to find those things that are like the, oh wow, like I would have missed that if I didn't actually, come across Trekkw2ks. I would have never known. Because in my mind, there's relatively always some crypto news happening. It's just like, who are you paying attention to, and like, what are they explaining to you to put things in context, right? Or at least give some framing to it. I'm not always saying that I'm the right way. I frame it in the best way, but I hope I do say something that gets y'all to think, right? As well as like cross-referencing it with other things that are on my radar. Not always crypto related. But anywho, it is Monday, and today's my mom's birthday, so I'm gonna go enjoy my time with her. Hopefully your weekend was a good weekend. The sun was out here sunning. It really was out here sunning. I was enjoying it. But other than that, y'all, as I say, have a P over B day. Before that, again, if you're looking for a CPA, CJ's link will be in the description. Full disclosure, he is my actual CPA. I get no kickbacks from this. It's not a referral link. I'm just saying, do your due diligence in how you pick your CPA. Because there's just some folks who are literally just buying the software and jumping into space and don't know jack diddly about it. He's been in the space for years. As I was saying, have a P over B day. If it cannot be a productive over a busy day, at least be in a safe space, in a safe place, and in good company. And from one human to the next, that is the best that I can wish you. All right, y'all. 1.